Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA, prime Angus, and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had. Likely will be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. And guess what? If you want to find out what's for dinner, give them a call. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, and a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. By the way, big welcome in to everybody that is watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, WOW, and Charter Cable affiliates, plus independents, as well as Hotel TV where applicable, and all of our social media streaming platforms and Chicago Food Favorites. Check them out. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, a fun group. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. And by the way, our friends over at Vacation Buddies are giving away a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas, or in Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri, if you could answer a very simple trivia question. Which of these three structures is the tallest in Las Vegas? Is it A, the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino, B, the Fontainebleau Hotel and Casino, or C, the Strat at the Stratosphere, the Stratosphere Tower at the Stratosphere? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777 with your answer. And remember, Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights in Branson, Missouri, in Orlando, Florida, or right here in Las Vegas if you know the answer to that simple trivia question. If so, call right now, 888-576-5777. All right, now that we've gotten all that out of the way, and guess what, folks? You know what we have? We have the World Series is set. That's right, the World Series is set, and it's going to be a very long distance between these two teams. It's not going to be a West Coast series, as I was sort of thinking after the Philadelphia Phillies had lost in the playoffs. I really was thinking it was going to be the Phillies and the Mariners. Well, guess what? It happened to be the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. So now we're going to have the north of the border, south of the border series. And it will be a true World Series, I suppose, being that there is an international flavor to it. And are these the two best teams in the postseason? Probably. It's easy to say no because you can say this, that, and the other. But mental mistakes cost both teams a little bit. That lost in the League Championship Series. And I would argue that the Milwaukee Brewers, they were good, but they weren't Dodger good. They didn't have the experience that the Dodgers had. I thought the only team that could knock the Dodgers off would be the Phillies, but they just imploded anyway. And now with Seattle and Toronto, it looked as halfway through the game when Seattle took the lead, it looked as if they were going to be the team to go to the World Series from the American League, but no, it wasn't. Absolutely not. In fact, it was a little bit of self-destruction. And some of that has to do with Josh Naylor and another mental mistake by this guy. I like him. I think he's a hell of a gamer, but boy, just makes some mistakes here and there. And it's, got to tell you, it's not very good in the grand scheme of things. When you look at these teams, you're like, well, wait a minute. How come? Yeah, well, that's it. You can keep asking a million questions. How come? We're not going to do that. We say Seattle was good. They just weren't good enough. And you thought that they were the better team because of pitching. Yeah, their pitching is really good. And I would probably say that Toronto just flat out outplayed them. And that's it. There's really no two ways to argue it either way. Toronto played very, very sound baseball all year. And it's no mistake that those guys are in the World Series. So as much as you can romanticize about the idea of Seattle, I was kind of hoping they'd be in there too. I just thought that they would have ran the course in the American League, but boy, they would have hit a brick wall against the Dodgers. Now the Dodgers are going to have an interesting matchup on their hands. You look at just the pitching right now, right? So let's take a quick look at the pitching and the starting rotation for the Dodgers. Now, I don't know how they're going to have this set up. I'm going to guess that Shohei Ohtani is going to start game one of the World Series. That's my best guess. And their rotation looks like right now, this is according to MLB.com, Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, and Shohei Ohtani. So that's their four. Now, if you look at the Toronto Blue Jays starting four, it's Kevin Gausman, Shane Bieber, Trey Yesavage, and Eric Lauer. Now, just looking at these head-to-head, let's face it, the Dodgers are clearly better in the starting rotation with just those four. Not to say that the Toronto four can't do anything special. And you look at their age. I mean, you've got Gausman, who's been around for a little bit. He's, 34 years of age. And Shane Bieber is 30 years of age. And Eric Lauer is 30 years of age. And Yesavage is 22 years of age. Now, over on the Dodgers side, you have Blake Snell, who is 33. Yamamoto, who is 27. Tyler Glasnow is 32. And Show Me the Money, Shohei Ohtani is 31. Now, what does all that mean? It means that, number one, you don't really have any youngsters pitching in the Dodgers rotation. Oh, and by the way, they're the reigning champions, so it's not as if they haven't been there before. This group of guys largely has been there in a couple of World Series in the very recent past. So these guys have a lot of experience. And I don't care about their size and all this other crap. That doesn't mean anything. What means something is the fact that they have been there. They've been in the rodeo. And when you look at the Dodgers pitching, I mean, look, you can look at the splits. The splits are interesting. And just in the standard regular season, and this is found on Baseball Reference, you look at the wins above replacement first. Now, Yamamoto, I was going to say Yoshinobu Yamamoto, has the greatest WAR out of any of those guys at a 5. So he is really probably the guy that shows the best. Now, and you notice Clayton Kershaw wasn't in that rotation. Now, in case you don't know what WAR is, that's wins above replacement. For pitchers, it's essentially a single number that presents the number of wins the player added to the team above what a replacement player, maybe a AA player or a AAA player or whatnot, would actually add. Now, this value includes defensive support and includes additional value for high leverage situations. So you got to realize that there's a scale. So if you're above 8, then you are an MVP quality or caliber pitcher, according to Baseball Reference. Now, an all-star quality pitcher is considered 5+, from 5 to 8. Anything above 8 is MVP caliber, and everything between, let's just say, from 2 to 5 is a quality starter, and 0 to 2 is a reserve. So what I find interesting about this is, according to the numbers, just the numbers only, Baseball Reference actually has Yamamoto as the only all-star quality starter. Everybody else, even including Clayton Kershaw, 0 to 2, they actually qualify as reserves, whereas Tyler Glasnow is a 1.9, which is actually under a starting rotation pitcher, which, when you look at the records, Yamamoto was 12-8, Curtin Clayshaw. See if I can spit that one out. Clayton Kershaw. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Clayton Kershaw. At 11-2 in his final year. Something tells me that's probably above, well, it's at least an all-star pitcher, according to this WAR. But they've got Clayton Kershaw at a 1.6. Dustin May, who was in there this year, was a 6-7, who is no longer around. Tyler Glasnow, 4-3. Now, Tyler Glasnow had 90 innings pitched. And Emmett Sheehan is another guy. They basically threw him to the bullpen at 6-3 this year, 73 innings pitched. And he came in at a 1, and Ohtani at a 1.1, which to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Ohtani's wins and loss, according to this year. Now, I'm looking at the right year. 2025. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right thing. So Ohtani shows 47 innings pitched, a 101 record, an earned run average of 2.87, and with a game started at 14. So we didn't figure in a lot of decisions, according to what I'm reading here. Whereas Emmett Sheehan, game started 12. He figured in 9 of the decisions. Tyler Glasnow started 18. He figured in 7 of the decisions. Dustin May started 18, figured in 13 of the decisions. Clayton Kershaw, 22 starts, 13 decisions. And Yamamoto, 30 starts and 20 of those decisions. We're going to come back here talking baseball, World Series style, on the Circus. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportcircus.com. That's info@thesportcircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. Check them out, folks. All right, a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our radio affiliates, including our friends over in Atlanta, 99.1 FM WDJY. Thanks for waking up with us. Thanks for driving home with us over in Auburn, Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, and Columbus, Georgia, listening in on WAUD. That's home of the Atlanta Braves. Welcome back to everybody up and down the West Coast, all the way through the Midwest. We got to mention our friends driving between Las Vegas and Los Angeles, listening in on Highway Country Radio, 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM. That's home of the Vegas Golden Knights, the Raiders, and the Sports Circus. Of course, everybody else up and down the West Coast, all the way up to Anchorage, down to CBS Sports, 1500 KHKA over in Honolulu. That's home of the 49ers, Yankees, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. And, of course, everybody else watching on Cox, Comcast Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wow, Charter, and independent cable television affiliates in select markets, as well as hotel TV where applicable, and everybody else on streaming platforms. By the way, in case you're just tuning in the first segment, right at the top of the show, there was an offer for a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas, if you knew the answer to a trivia question. That same offer was for Orlando, Florida. Or you could select Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to a very simple trivia question. We're going to repeat it just in case you're tuning in right now. Which of these three is the tallest structure in Las Vegas? Is it A, the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino? Is it B, the Fontainebleau Hotel and Casino? Or is it the Stratosphere Tower, C, at the Strat? If you know the answer, A, B, or C, contact 888-576-5777. Call them right now, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. And that, of course, is with Vacation Buddies. By the way, they're not affiliated with this station. However, they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Vegas, Orlando, or Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to the simple trivia question. Again, which of these three is the tallest in Las Vegas? Is it A, the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Hotel and Casino, B, the Fontainebleau Hotel and Casino, or C, the Stratosphere Tower at the Strat? 888-576-5777. Call now. All right, we left off talking about the pitching staff for the Dodgers when we were looking at the Baseball Reference. It's going through the wins above replacement. There is a scale, of course, that shows if you're an MVP caliber, if you're an all-star caliber, if you're a starting rotation caliber, a replacement, reserve, or whatnot. And in a bit of irony, looking at the Dodgers starting rotation that's going to be facing the Toronto Blue Jays in the World Series, it is only Yoshinobu Yamamoto that has a WAR above 5. And he is figured in 2 out of every 3 decisions. Now, Clayton Kershaw has figured in over half of the decisions for the Dodgers that he's started. Now, the other guys, a little questionable. So we wonder, what are we talking about? Now we're going to dig into the bullpen a little bit, because according to MLB.com, the Dodgers starting rotation is going to be Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Ohtani. That would leave the balance of the guys here in the bullpen. And as we look at it, we say, all right, you've got, I'm going to start with the rookie Sasaki. And boy, am I glad I got a couple of his rookie cards. I mean, this guy throws gasoline. And I mean, he really brings it. He's got a couple of pitches. He's good. He's not starting a rotation good, but he could be lights out for one inning of work. And that's why they're leaving him, I believe, as the closer. But now things get a little bit shaky in the Dodgers bullpen. And when I say shaky, I'm not kidding you. I watch this and I say, all right, the Dodgers starting rotation will get you 5-6 innings, but then it's a roller coaster ride. We don't know what's going to happen because Alex Vesia is, in my opinion, incredibly inconsistent. Emmett Sheehan, probably the better of the guys in the bullpen with Clayton Kershaw, of course. But Blake Treinen, not very good in my opinion. Jack Dreyer, better than Vesia and Treinen. Banda, another guy, questionable. Kasperius was supposed to be a closer, but you don't know what you're getting with Kasperius. And then you've got, of course, Clayton Kershaw is in the pen, which we've already seen Clayton come out of the pen. Did not end very well for him, and that was in a previous game. Tanner Scott, another big question mark. I don't know about that, nor Will Klein. I mean, look, Gratterall's on the shelf. Phillips is on the shelf. Then you've got a couple of other guys. And if Michael Kopech could come in and pitch for the Dodgers, if Kopech was actually in there, he would really be another guy that would throw very similar to Sasaki. The problem is they don't have that caliber pitcher from the left-handed side. So the Dodgers are righty heavy, of course, against the left-handed hitters. I get that. But when you look at what the Dodgers have to offer, there's some question marks here. Now I'm going to go to the Baseball Reference and take a look a little bit closer at these guys. So when we're looking at, they have, mind you, Baseball Reference has Tanner Scott as the closer for the Dodgers, who clearly is not the closer late in the season. It is Sasaki. And Sasaki has pretty darn good numbers. But when you look at Baseball Reference, you say, well, where the heck is Sasaki? I don't see him. I do not see him. He's not on this roster. So they've got some of the information is missing. Some of it isn't. But the bigger question in this is you look at that everybody else except Sasaki, you know he's going to be the closer. It certainly isn't going to be Scott. Relief pitchers, according to Baseball Reference, back to that WAR situation, wins above replacement. Mind you, this is a really big deal when you're looking at the bullpen because, look, you've got 8+ as the number is MVP quality. 5+ is all-star quality. 2+ is starter or top-tier reliever. 0 to 2 is reserve, and anything less is just a replacement, according to baseballprojection.com. And it was actually developed by a guy named Sean Smith. We want to make sure we give him a little credit. But Jack Dreyer is the best of those guys in the bullpen, according to Baseball Reference. And I think Dreyer's a good pitcher. I really do. I think the guy's got some really good, he's got a couple of good 3 pitches. And let's face it, the bigger problem is walks to strikeouts. He's given up 24 walks. Yeah, 74 strikeouts. He's at a 3-1, which is good. The problem is he's walking somebody every 3 innings, and you don't want him to do that. You don't want to give off the dreaded leadoff walk, the dreaded 2-out walk. You just don't want to give a free pass to anybody. But it goes downhill very quickly after Dreyer. Now looking down the entire staff, outside of Sasaki and the bullpen, outside of him. So even Clayton Kershaw, who is in the pen, technically, he's at a 1.6, who is better than Dreyer at 1.3. Why does this matter? Because this is average bullpen caliber or less, is what the Dodgers show across the board. And Vesia comes in at 1.1. Banda comes in under 1. Blake Snell, if when he was in there, still 1.3. But when you go all the way down, looking at what the Dodgers have to offer, I got to tell you, it is incredibly questionable. Now, when you say, all right, these guys are typically right-handed heavy. Okay, why does it matter? I'll tell you why it matters. Let's take a look at the Toronto Blue Jays depth. And you look at the Toronto Blue Jays from the hitting side. In the catcher position, a really good catcher, of course, in Alejandro Kirk. Right-handed stick. And Tyler Heineman is a switch hitting catcher. All right. Now, at first base, they've got righty switch hitter in Anthony Santander, who will likely take a spot as a designated hitter because you're going to want to get some lefties in there against all those right-handed pitchers. Now, you think of the left-handed pitchers for the Dodgers, you got a couple of guys. But outside of that, your bullpen is going to be largely right-handed pitching, right? So that means as far as hitting goes, Andres Gimenez, a very good left-handed hitting second baseman. Now, that outside of, he's the only second baseman that's lefty, but he's also the starter. Now, when we look at third base, you've got Addison Barger, who is a left-handed stick as well. And he throws righty, one of those weird combinations. And so you've got a third baseman that can, of course, bat lefty if they're starting a right-handed pitcher. Otherwise, it's going to be Ernie Clement, who's going to start at third base. At shortstop, you have, again, Jimenez can be moved from second to third, but technically it's Bo Bichette, Ernie Clement, or Isaiah Carner-Falefa, righty. Now, over in left field, you do have Nathan Lukes, who is a lefty, and Joey Loperfido. He also is a lefty. And by the way, Anthony Santander not only is the DH, but he also will, and he will double as the left fielder. He's a switch hitter. So you've got guys, basically have three left-handed hitters in left field, and you've got basically three righties in left field. Now for center field, Nathan Lukes again, he will move over, but Dalton Varsho is technically their starter behind, actually no, he's the second stringer really, behind, we'll just say, if we put George Springer out in center fielder instead of right field, either way, Dalton Varsho, the left-handed stick, is going to get his reps, right? Because you know George Springer is going to get his as well. So my point is they've got a lot of lefty sticks against that right-handed bullpen. Back here in a few minutes, going to break this down a little bit more here on the Circus. Don't go anywhere.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628.
Able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Excellent. Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven, gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number.
800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. That's 800-876-7041.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure to check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests, our prior guests, record shows which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, iHeart, YouTube, Pandora, Stitcher, Deezer, plus a whole bunch of others. Also, make sure you check out the partners page at thesportscircus.com. Lots of great partners. And of course, our favorite is Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. And if you can't get over there for some great food, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. You can read about how it was created 117 years ago. That's right, it's real cooking. It is not throwing some low cut of beef on a platter or on a flat top, so to say, and putting some cheese whiz on it, putting some onions on it and peppers or whatnot, slapping it on a bun and sending you on your way. And who knows what actually is in that sandwich. When I say who knows what's in it, I'm talking about how it's actually made. Why does that matter? I'll tell you why. Because if you know how it's made, then you're going to ask yourself some questions. And I'm going to give you a little blurb here. Now, this is really good. This is from Al's Number One Italian Beef. And this is off of a big plaque that they have inside the restaurant. Now, we just did a TV filming in there just about a week ago. And I took a picture, and I'm going to read this to you because it really makes a little bit of sense. They say, Al's Number One Italian Beef says, first and foremost, it's real. It's real and it's pure. That means it's real food. It's important that you know the most of the Italian beef served throughout the city of Chicago and America, for that matter, is artificially pumped with chemicals, phosphates, and other foreign substances. This is done by many restaurants, caterers, and grocers to add weight, basically to cheat the consumer. And you would be shocked to know the business that follows that procedure. You may want to start asking about what they're feeding you. Al's Number One Italian Beef never injects their beef. All beef is dry roasted with 100% pure spices and natural juices. Their beef is pure. That's their promise and commitment to you, and has been since 1938. Now, because they don't artificially add foreign substances to their beef, it's truly pure, and their sandwiches might be slightly more expensive than their competitors. Not a lot, but maybe a little bit. It's the price of eating pure beef, and they believe that's what you want. They say we are committed to only offering purely unartificially enhanced beef with incredible award-winning flavors. It's worth it, and you're worth it. Don't settle for less. Hey, that's good stuff, folks. That always gets an enormous round of applause. That gets a gigantic round of applause. In fact, we're going to let that play out. You know why? Because we can. That's what we do here. So when you think about what you're getting when you're ordering something, I mean, think about this. Have you seen those videos on pick your favorite social media where maybe it was on like TikTok or whatever the heck it was, and they're showing a burger, for example, from a very popular food chain that's been around for many years, where somebody basically keeps it in the bag, keeps it in the wrapper or whatever, and 8-9 months later, a year later, they pull it out of the wrapper, and it looks just like it was recently made with all those preservatives and all that crap in there. I mean, boy, that's pretty scary stuff. Imagine you're putting that stuff in your body. Yeah, that's right. So, and you're not paying much for it. Why? Well, think about this. That company, I think you know who I'm talking about, I believe they said they sell 180 million burgers worldwide a month. Man, that's a lot of burgers. So, I mean, honestly, I want to see... Show me the money! I would love to see that. But anyway, what I'm after is if they serve up 180 million burgers a month, are there that many cows around? I mean, is there that much processing going on where they're going through the motions on that? I don't know. Is there enough manpower to process all those animals and get it into the rotation for product? I don't know. I've heard the stories of the pink sludge and this stuff that they use as alleged beef or whatever it is. It's pretty scary stuff. So, look, I talk about Al's #1 Italian beef because not only is it the best in the business, they're the creators of the Italian beef sandwich, which kicks the living daylights out of that awful Philly cheesesteak sandwich that people seem to love so much. You know why? Because they haven't had an Italian beef sandwich. That's why. Philly cheesesteak will take literally 3-4 minutes to make max. And it takes, 22 hours just to cook the beef, the top round sirloin or the bottom round rump roast and whatnot, to make it properly and served properly and prepared and so forth. I mean, it's a really big deal, folks. And when you try, you're like, oh my God, you'll hear the chorus singing. It's that good. Why are we doing this? Because this is the difference between the two baseball teams that are playing in the World Series, by the way. So you have the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. And by the way, the Blue Jays are the home team. Now, the current odds, the opening odds as I see it right now, are the Dodgers minus 210. So you got to put up 210 to win 100. Toronto, on the other hand, you put up 100 to win 180. So something tells me you're in a pretty good situation there. It's almost 2-1 for Toronto. That's pretty darn good. I kind of like that number. I don't like the 30-cent line, though. So I'm speaking to you now as Sal the bookmaker. The 30-cent line rips off the betting public. I was going to say the American public. It's the betting public. So when I say a 30-cent line, that means, so if you're minus 210 to plus 180, you basically have, two teams at the opposite end of the spectrum. They should be just about even. It should be minus 210 to plus 210, but it's minus 210 to plus 180. So the better, if you're betting Toronto, you're getting ripped off 30 cents, or basically $30 per 100, according to what we're talking about here with the betting line. And I think that's ridiculous. That the line should not be that. So that's another discussion maybe for tomorrow's show or whatnot. But when I'm looking at these teams, I say, all right, the Dodgers have a whole bunch of bullpen right-handed pitchers. And then when you look at the Toronto Blue Jays, you've got probably about 6 guys. When you've got a right-handed pitcher in there for the Dodgers, they're going to probably face maybe 6 guys that can hit left-handed. Now, that's really a good equalizer because remember, first of all, you got the lefty-righty matchup, which favors the batter. Now, if you got righty-righty, it typically favors the pitcher. Now, as I see it, as a former pitcher, I look at what these teams bring to the table. The Dodgers don't have a good bullpen at all. You got Sasaki in there, and I think even Clayton Kershaw is a little questionable in the pen. Now, let's take a look at the Dodgers, or what the Dodgers would be facing when they're batting, when you look at the Toronto Blue Jays pitching. So the Blue Jays pitching isn't as flashy and exciting, as sexy as what the Dodgers have to offer. However, these guys are consistent, and they've been consistent all year. Now, according to Baseball Reference, and according to better yet, let's go first to Major League Baseball, MLB.com. Let's take a look at the starting rotation again for the Toronto Blue Jays with Gausman, Bieber, Yastovich, and Lauer. 4 pretty good starters, and as far as youngsters go, you got 1 youngster in there. Now, in the Dodgers rotation, when you look at their starters, you basically have 1 sort of youngster, but not in there. So we'll give the age, of course, that advantage to the Dodgers. We're going to give the Dodgers the nod as far as the starting pitching is concerned. But now when you look at the bullpen for the Toronto Blue Jays, you say, all right, let's go to that wins above replacement thing that I was talking about with the Dodgers, and let's compare and contrast to what the Blue Jays have to offer. And you actually have better numbers across the board for the Blue Jays. So just looking at their starting pitching, you have Kevin Gausman. Remember, just in case you're just tuning in, so anything on the wins above replacement for a pitcher, if you're at 8 or above, your MVP quality. If you're 5 or above, your all-star quality. 2 or above, your starter quality, your good quality. And 0 to 2 is reserve. Anything underneath is just replacement. So when you look at the Toronto Blue Jays, their starters, you've got Kevin Gausman, who's a 3.8. Now, Yamamoto is a 5 for the Dodgers, but then it drops off sharply. Now, let's go down the line looking at the balance of these starters here for the Blue Jays. Chris Bassett is a 2.1. That's better than any other starter besides Yamamoto. Oh, believe it, folks. In fact, when we come back, we're going to dig into this a little further. Don't go anywhere.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure you check out the store at thesportscircus.com. That's right, holidays are coming up. Lots of great gift ideas, hats, hoodies, t-shirts, coats, pants, travel mugs, coffee mugs, mouse pads, pillows, you name it. They're all there with the clever Sports Circus logo on them. That's right, the Sports Circus logo on all of our items, made in these United States of America, by the way. And of course, have to have a nice little plug for the Sports Circus store. Hey, a shameless plug for us. We got to pay bills just like you do. Anyway, the products are wonderful, and make sure you check it out at thesportscircus.com's store. All right, welcome back to everybody. You know you are TV and radio. We left off talking about the Blue Jays pitching. We've already talked about the Dodgers pitching. And the Dodgers hitters, boy, I mean, man, that is a very tough group to pitch against. But when we look at wins above replacement, it looks like the starting pitching is more consistent, believe it or not, according to Baseball Reference, which is a really big deal, and when the whole stats world and whatnot, they actually have some really, really deep numbers. And I mean, they have really deep numbers. But the starting rotation has better numbers for the Blue Jays over the term of their starts. Now, when you look at their actual performance, when you have games started, for example, Kevin Gausman at 32 starts, he figured in 21 of the starts, like Yamamoto figured in 2 out of 3. What's the same idea here with Kevin Gausman? Chris Bassett in 31 starts, he figured in 20 of those, just like what Clayton Kershaw did. Jose Berrios had 30 starts, he figured in 14 of them. Eric Lauer had 15 starts, figured in 11 of them. See where we're going with this, folks. Even Max Scherzer, 17 starts, he figured in 10 of those. So what I'm trying to say is their pitchers went deeper into the game, and either A, they protected the lead or kept it close. And that's what the signature is of the Toronto starting rotation. Now, looking at their bullpen, as we look at the Toronto Blue Jays depth chart just in pitching in their bullpen, their closer, righty, Jeff Hoffman, is a really good one. The guy's been around for quite some time. He's 32 years of age. He knows the rodeo. Now, Sir Anthony Dominguez, another guy, has been around for almost the same amount of time. He's 31 years of age. So, again, you've got two guys that have been in there from the closing standpoint for quite some time. But looking up and down the bullpen with Varlin, Little, Rodriguez, Nance, Berrios, who is one hell of a starting pitcher. Somehow he's in the bullpen. Fisher, Flaherty, and Brill. Look, these guys are better than what the Dodgers have to offer in the bullpen. Now, the Dodgers can equalize that if Kopech is a part of it. But more importantly, Roki Sasaki is their closer. The question is, who's going to step up after that? Can you depend on Clayton Kershaw? I don't think so. I like the bullpen of the Blue Jays better. Now, when we look at the Dodgers hitters and the Blue Jays pitchers, let's look at that bullpen. So you got a lot of righty, 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 lefty, righty, 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 and then you've got 3 lefties in the bullpen for the Toronto Blue Jays. When you look at the bullpen for the Dodgers, they do have Vesia as a lefty, Dreyer's a lefty, Banda's a lefty, and Robleski is a lefty, Kershaw's a lefty, Tanner Scott's a lefty. But which guys are going to see the most action? Vezia's going to see a lot of action for sure. I think Training's going to see a lot of action as a righty. Banda will not see that much action. I don't think Robleski is going to see much, and Clayton Kershaw is going to see some. Tanner Scott may see some. So really, it's a dominant right-handed bullpen. And so as we look at the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen, they have quite a bit of the same. However, when you look at the Dodgers hitting is going to have to face these guys. And you say, all right, well, who do they have? Let's talk about their right-handed and left-handed pitchers or catchers and position players, right? So all the catchers for the Dodgers hit right-handed, whereas the Blue Jays actually have someone that hits from the opposite side, which is a really good thing for them. When you're looking at we'll just go position by position, you got Tyler Heineman as a switch hitting catcher. So advantage Toronto. But as far as hitting, advantage Dodgers. Will Smith's one hell of a stick, and Dalton Rushing has filled in very, very well for him. Rortvedt, I'm not really sure too much about him. First base, Freddie Freeman all day and twice on Sunday. But again, righty, righty, righty. First baseman, they're all righties for the Blue Jays. Vladdy Guerrero basically matches up with Freddie Freeman. That's going to be a really good head-to-head. So as far as the Dodgers second baseman goes, it's going to be Tommy Edman and then everybody else. Tommy Edman, switch hitter. And he's a right-handed thrower. Now for the Blue Jays, it's going to be Andres Gimenez, who is a lefty stick. But now we're talking about the pitching for the Blue Jays. Now the pitching says that the Dodgers should have basically an evenly matched setup with the Blue Jays as far as hitters to pitchers. Third base, it's going to be Max Muncy, a left-handed stick, which goes well against those right-handers. And by the way, it's technically going to be a right-handed stick for the Blue Jays. But back to this Dodgers hitters and Blue Jays pitchers setup. The Dodgers at short, of course, we're going to see Mookie Betts there, righty, and everybody else behind him are righty. I wouldn't really think that Ha-Seong Kim is going to get much action. So again, we have a lot of righties. And over in left field, what do we have? We have all righties except Michael Conforto, who is a utility player. Center field, you have a switch hitter in Tommy Edman, who's really their second baseman, and Kim. You got righties again. They're looking for left-handed pitching. So they're not going to get too much of that. They're going to see a heavy dose of right-handed pitching. Teoscar Hernandez in right field. Again, righty. Even Alex Call, righty. They're looking for lefties. Guess what they're going to get? A heavy dose of righties. And Ohtani is going to be looking for a right-handed pitcher, being a left-handed stick. And I don't know. I mean, I'm going to give the advantage to, believe it or not, I'm going to give the advantage to the Blue Jays. So that plus 180 is looking pretty good. Now, as far as the starting pitching goes, I'll give a slight advantage to the Dodgers, but everything else, except maybe the top 5 in that batting lineup, is going to go to the Dodgers. And experience goes to the Dodgers because they're the reigning champions. But the Blue Jays on paper, folks, they actually match up very, very well with the Dodgers. And you say, well, what about if Seattle? Never mind Seattle. They didn't make it. It doesn't matter why. What matters is that it's the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. And when we look at the betting line right now, folks, if you're going to bet it, this is the time to bet it. Because when you get the opening line, that's the true line from the odds makers. The closing line is all the manipulation by the bettors, whether you're betting online or whether you're betting at the casino. It doesn't matter. The whales are going to come in. When I say whale, they're going to come in and drop $500,000 to $1 million on a side or on a particular bet. Those are the whales. And so they move the line when they make a bet. So a lot of times you'll see them bet smaller amounts in different houses. And we saw that with a very popular boxing match that happened 3 years back between a couple of popular guys. There was an MMA guy and then a regular boxing guy. And there were reports that the boxing guy was betting on the over and under on himself, on the under, by the way. And it was very convenient how it ended up being, I think the over and under was 10 and a half rounds. And if I'm not mistaken, the fight ended at 10 rounds and about 19 seconds, something to that effect. Just conveniently under the over and under. And as I understood it, somebody told me, who knows if it's real or not, but it came from a pretty good source, that the boxer won $900,000 just on that bet on the far south end of the strip, as I was told, and then had other people placing similar bets. Because, sports bets are what? They're tax-free. They cannot be taxed. And so apparently people from that boxer's camp, who knows if it's true again, they were placing big bets as well. I can't imagine how many millions of dollars were bet potentially from that boxer or that boxer's people or whatever. Again, I don't know. Who knows? But what I'm trying to say is that the true line is the opening line, period. So if you see the Dodgers at minus 210 to open up, and you're a Dodger fan, you better get that bet in at minus 210, because I have a feeling that the bettors are going to go heavy on the Dodgers, and that line will probably finish minus 265, I'm going to guess, minus 250 to 265, depending on the house you're at. And the Blue Jays will probably finish around plus 200 or 2-1, right? So you bet $100, you get $300 back because you win $200 on the one. And so my point is, in the grand scheme of things, if you're an early bettor, you're getting the right line. But other than that, now you're basically, if you're watching the way the betting action goes, really it's just the bettors, because the odds makers are going to make a move here or there depending on how much money has transacted a particular way. And when I talk about following the money, you'll hear me talk about that quite a bit. I know what I'm looking for as Sal the bookmaker. I know what I'm looking for. I'm in the sports books. I know exactly what I'm looking for. Now, if you don't, but you want to know, email info@thesportscircus.com, because yes, I do have information on games, and that's right. Maybe I will tell you a little bit more about it. Email info@thesportscircus.com, and who knows, maybe show me the money will be what happens at the sports book for you. I don't know. But remember, when you're betting off of everybody else's feeling and everybody else's BS and all their analytics and garbage like that, let me tell you something, folks. What really matters in the grand scheme of things is, what does the money want? It has nothing to do with weather, nothing to do with injuries, nothing to do with analytics. It has everything to do with what the money wants. Now, the opening line was set, and so now we're going to find out exactly what the money wants. Now, you'll watch that line move. You see the same thing in football, basketball, hockey, golf, tennis, everything you can bet on. What does the money want? And that is what's going to tell you which way, if you want, which way to bet this. But if you're a true bettor and you want that team at the opening line, which is the true line, you're going to place your bets early, not afterwards. All right, folks, that's going to do it for the Sports Circus today. I am your ringmaster, Sal. We'll see you in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.